So this is a few months old, and I can't believe I missed it. Although between working full-time and trying to enjoy my day offs with some relaxing and fun trips, it's no wonder why I missed it. However, here it is. And obviously you want to hear my opinion on it because I'm such an important figure and you care about my thoughts. This clip is a bona fide example of what's wrong with CNN and mainstream journalism. This clip will show, when you watch it, Kate Bolduan virtue signaling. And yes, I know some of you out there will accuse me of using buzzwords like virtue signaling, but let me be clear. I'm not using a buzzword to sound edgy or intelligent or with the times. Let's be honest, Renegade, Slogan, Media, Edgelord Guardians. If you give an answer regarding policy and you bring up key points against a specific action or policy, saying something like, it'll make things worse, it'll cost money, it doesn't make sense, or we don't know all the facts, and then someone responds by showing a video of a little girl saying something like, we need help, kids wish to play, or by bringing up pictures and videos of kids getting slaughtered, you might be virtue signaling. And I say that not because I think we should disregard kids getting killed or slaughtered, but because you have every reason not to go to war without first identifying what our goal is and what the cost to benefit outcome of said action is. Let's imagine a Disney watered-down love story version of history. Let's say the United States joined World War II to save the Jewish population from Hitler. Let's just say that we're there to stop the Holocaust. At that point of the Holocaust, knowing that human beings with Jewish beliefs, leanings, or those from Jewish heritage were being rounded up and being killed or forced into slave labor, declaring an act of war isn't gonna make things worse. Things are already destabilized. But prematurely bombing an airfield that would make it harder to combat ISIS, based on premature speculation, it's completely different. When you're beating the war drum and appealing to emotion while disregarding all facts, constitutional law, and ignoring the bigger consequences, then yes, you are virtue signaling.
Price for their engagement. The Iranians and Hezbollah are also heavily involved. All players here are going to have to pay a penalty, and the United States of America is going to be on the side of people who fight for freedom, and we will not sit by and watch chemical weapons being used to slaughter innocent women and children.
That's John McCain speaking out yesterday. Yeah. Congressman, as you are against intervention. You say that is what you hear from your constituents, and you say that's what you heard from your constituents previously. But as you sit here today and you see these images coming out of the slaughter of innocent children, sit here today and you see these images coming out of the slaughter of innocent children, does that change your view?
Well, with all due respect to the senator from Arizona, he's wrong. And he's not expressing the will of the American people. But I hope that the senator and I can agree that President Trump cannot unilaterally attack a country. He cannot commit an act of war against a sovereign nation without a vote in Congress. So this really isn't up to Rex Tillerson or the president at this point.
If the president of Syria is committing crimes against humanity, slaughtering his own people, do you think there is something short of going to war with Syria that you can support? Your fellow Republican, Adam Kinzinger, says yes, there is something short of that. You can ground Assad's Air Force. You can crater the airstrips that the Air Force is taking off from to commit these atrocities. Can you get on board with that?
Well, I can't speak about classified information on TV, but I can tell you, according to the Washington Post, we've been spending $1 billion a year in funding the rebels in Syria to no good effect, frankly.
Right, but that's not funding the rebels. What do you think about grounding? What do you think about grounding Assad's Air Force?
Well, you know, we had testimony of Congress that said that's a virtual act of war in Syria, and that we would be at war with the Russians at that point. I think it's a bad idea.
Earlier today, Congressman, Bona, she's a little Syrian girl who's become really the voice of all Syrian children in this war. She spoke to CNN, and here is what she said that her wish is. Bona, she's a little Syrian girl who's become really the voice of all Syrian children in this war. She spoke to CNN, and here is what she said that her wish is. Listen.
I want to stop the war, and I want the children of Syria play and go to school, live in peace. Together we can help them. Together we can save them.
To be clear, what she said right there is that's all she wants. She wants for the children of Syria to be able to play and go to school. She's pleading for help. What do you say to her, Congressman?
I think what she's asking for is something that all children should enjoy. And I think that our intervention in Syria has prolonged the civil war, and it is not helping there. President Trump campaigned on a more restrained a more restrained foreign policy. And I hope that's what we see. And, you know, we haven't created a better school environment for the children in Iraq, frankly, by destabilizing that country. And I don't think it serves the children of Syria or anybody in the United States to further destabilize Syria.
So you say you see these, you hear that plea from her, you see the images coming out of Syria, and you think the best policy for the United States right now is to do nothing.
What I'm saying is we might end up making the situation worse if we launch airstrikes, if we against their airplanes, against hard targets on the ground. So we really need to step back and take a good look at this. The first casualty of war is the truth, and it's hard to know exactly what's happening in Syria right now. I'd like to know specifically how that release of chemical gas, if it did occur, and it looks like it did, how that occurred. Because frankly, I don't think Assad would have done that. It does not serve his interests. It would tend to draw us into that civil war even further.
Who do you think is behind it? Who do you think is behind it?
You know, you've got a war going on over there. Supposedly that airstrike was on an ammo dump. And so I don't know if it was released because there was gas stored in the ammo dump or not. That's plausible. I'm not saying that's what I think happened, but
You're more inclined to believe the position of what Bashar al-Assad is saying and what the Russians are saying right now than more inclined to believe what even your colleagues here in the United States believe is truth, that this is Assad, and what human rights observers over there say is Assad?
I don't think it would have served Assad's purposes to do a chemical attack on his people. So it's hard for me to understand why he would do that if he did.
Congressman Tom Massie, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Kate.